Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a fabulous Valentine's Day and everything is okay with everybody. We have a lot to cover again today, as is par for the course. So let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We are starting off this morning with Princess Anne, again, one of the hardest working royals. They were supposed to have traveled to New Zealand for an official trip just as Cyclone Gabrielle hit the country in what was supposed to be one of the biggest weather events for a century. She did go to New Zealand, but for instance, one of her stops was supposed to be at the Royal New Zealand Corps of Signals, but because the Army is involved in the response to the storm, that was canceled. Instead, she's going to visit the center coordinating the relief effort. You know, there's always one thing or another that can be done. So due to the weather, the plans have changed, but she's still in New Zealand. She's still carrying on. Way to go, Anne. Keep on keeping on. I can't wait to see the photos that are going to come out. All right, moving on. Next up, we have King Charles, who did an investiture ceremony at Windsor Castle. Lots of people there, lots of people receiving awards for different things. Everybody looks very happy. I have a little bit of an issue with this, and let me explain. But before I do, let me just say I think it's wonderful that people got their honors. You know, you don't want to stop people from that. When Charles was done with that, we're still going to get there. Give me a second. When he was done, he went and met with Turkish expatriates and people of Turkish origin in Hounslow, West London. The king launched Syria's House, which is a temporary Syrian community tent where members of the community can come together to support those who are in need due to the horrible earthquakes. He saw them packing boxes and shipments of things to send to Turkey to help with the relief effort of what's going on. We've all seen what's going on TV, you guys. Anything that you can donate, anything that you can do, but make sure that when you donate, it's done through a real charity. You know what I'm saying? And then while the king was there, he popped into a kebab shop. Very nice. So here is where my issue comes in. We know that Charles and Camilla have been going around meeting lots of people. We knew there was another corona case swarming across, another wave. And of course, we all know that Camilla tested positive for COVID. Now, the thing is, since she tested positive for COVID, anybody who's been around her, or at least this is what used to happen, I'm not claiming to be an expert, but what used to happen is if you were positive, the people around you had to quarantine for several days. We all saw this too from Dr. Shola. So my issue is that King Charles doesn't seem to be quarantining. He seems to be out and about. He could have it and not know it for up to 2 weeks. Now, my other issue is this above. Queen Camilla has been hit by some of the worst tweets and abuse since she got COVID. People were saying absolutely horrible things. I mean, I don't get it. She got COVID, okay? And people, there is such a thing as karma. I've told you that before. When you wish evil and it goes out into the world, it will come back to you. It will come back. You guys shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Richard Palmer even put up a tweet about it that he just couldn't believe the reactions. And of course, we know that one of the worst reactions came from Shouty Shola. Yes, Camilla, this is the same woman, let's not forget, who claimed that a African-American gentleman killed by African-American police officers in an African-American town is a sign of white privilege. So this nut job, and that's what I think she is, I honestly do, put up a nasty tweet about this. I'm like, oh my God, this woman needs to get a life. She needs to leave the UK. She obviously hates it there. She should just go somewhere else. All right, now we know that the coronation is coming. apparently there are several details that they're saying could really risk public backlash. Let's take a look at some of those, okay? The first one is Harry and Meghan attending. Now, when people heard that they'd been invited, the news was not very welcomed by people. Much of the British public was angered by the way they've attacked the royal family. People don't want them there, but I understand why they were invited, but it's just not going over well with the people of the UK. The second controversy is the fact that the coronation is taking place on Archie's birthday. Now, you got to remember that this was also the day that another king ascended to the throne. This has nothing to do with Archie's birthday. That date was not chosen because of Archie's birthday. And quite frankly, you don't choose the date of your coronation based on the birth date of a grandson that you might have met once. Number 3 is Prince Andrew's attendance. He is the king's brother, but he's not a working member of the family. So what they're saying is he'll probably be there, but they'll put him in a discreet spot so that he doesn't, get attention. Number 4 is what's going on with the balcony, because the king has been urged to follow what the queen did, only allowing senior royals on the balcony. And this prevents Andrew and the Sussexes from being on the balcony, and prevents, of course, the Sussexes from getting that money shot that they can use in their Netflix stuff. Now, the 5th controversy is the public anointing. So he would be the first monarch in British history to be publicly anointed with holy oil. They usually do it under a canopy, a gold canopy. He wants his to be done under a clear canopy so everybody could see what's going on. The 6th problem is Camilla's crown, because the crown that she's going to be crowned with has that stone in the top. I'm not going to say it right. The Koh-i-Noor diamond in the front cross, and it's created a lot of controversy. So they're saying now they're going to remove that diamond before the coronation. And we're going to cover that again in a minute. Number 7 is the cost of the event, because it's going to cost the taxpayers millions. However, it's going to be offset by the boost to hospitality and tourism, which is something that other people just don't seem to think about. And finally, the reduced guest list. He's cut the number from 8,000 to 2,000, which means few people can attend. And a lot of people are really upset about that, but I would think that would help with the cost, so I don't know why they're upset. All right, let's go back to that crown now. Camilla is going to wear the recycled crown without the Koh-i-Noor diamond at the coronation. So she's going to use a modified version of Queen Mary's crown from 1911, but with the Indian jewel removed, if that makes sense. Now, this is done in tribute to Queen Elizabeth II. The crown will be reset with, I hope I say this right, Cullinan 3, 4, and 5 diamonds, which are part of the late Queen's personal jewelry collection and were usually worn by her as brooches. Okay. Now, the diamond that they're talking about, that Koh-i-Noor diamond, was seized by the East India Company in 1849 and presented to Queen Victoria and featured in the late Queen Mother's crown in 1937. Now, it's controversial for the circumstances in which it was acquired. Supposedly, it brings back painful memories of the colonial past. Yeah. Anyway, this is the first time that a queen consort has been crowned with a crown that's being reused. Usually, they make a new one, if you can believe that. This is the first time a queen consort's crown has been reused since Queen Caroline, the consort of George II, wore Mary of Modena's crown in the 1700s. Now, besides the changing of the diamonds, 4 of the crown's 8 detachable arches will be removed to create a different impression to when the crown was worn by Queen Mary at the 1911 coronation. The design was inspired by Queen Alexandra's crown in 1902. And as you can see, the crown has been removed from the Tower of London. They actually put out an official notice about it. Wow. You know, I have to tell you, I wouldn't care if it had 4 arches, 8 arches, little diamonds, big diamonds. The one thing that I remember about Queen Elizabeth saying about this particular crown was that it was heavy as all get out and it hurt her neck. That's what I remember. All right, moving on. All right, we're back to Prince Andrew again, and let me just explain why. As I told you yesterday, Prince Andrew is hoping that papers that were previously sealed will absolutely demolish Virginia Giuffre's story and restore Andrew's reputation. It depends on what documents are in there that he's talking about. I'm not exactly sure, or I wasn't sure what he was talking about until some of the documents were actually released, and quite shocking they were, I have to agree. Emails between Virginia Giuffre and Sharon Churcher of the Mail on Sunday, where they're discussing the money they're making, and Sharon insists that Virginia accuse Alan Dershowitz. And since this is so small, let me help you. Here's an email from Sharon to Virginia. She says, don't forget Alan Dershowitz. He's J.E.'s buddy and lawyer. Good name for you in a pinch. As he repped Klaus Van Bülow, and a movie was made about that case. Title was Reversal of Fortune. We all suspect Alan is a pedo, even though there's no proof. You probably met him when he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And Virginia wrote back, thanks again, Shaza. I'm bringing down the house with this book. Here's another email. You guys, I'm telling you, I can totally see now why Andrew thinks that once this is all let go, that he possibly could be found innocent. I get it now. I do, with this kind of stuff coming out. I'm telling you. Well, I'm going to keep an eye on this, as I told you before. Let's move on. Here we go, Jeremy Clarkson. We all know that he made those comments about Meghan Markle. He was talking about the Game of Thrones, and people were thinking he was going to be canceled. But just so you know, his show has been confirmed for season 3. So he didn't lose his show. He didn't lose his column. He didn't lose, I'm going to be a millionaire, or whatever that show is. He's still going. Now, we know he's running a farm in the Cotswolds. People are all over the place, and they love him. And I think that's why he didn't get canceled. They're lining up at the farm. They're lining up to go into the store as soon as it was reopened. They're lining up everywhere. People love this guy. And there you go. I guess my point is, for all of Meghan's attempts to cancel this guy, it didn't work. And she refused to accept 2 apologies, which is why now she and Harry will never get an apology from the royal family, because now they know what will happen if they dared to apologize for anything. All right, moving on. The articles are coming out now saying that Americans find Meghan phony and overdramatic. Well, we already knew that. The way she laughs and throws herself over. The way she puts her hand up in front of her mouth and acts like she's giggling. The way when she walks, she can't just walk. She has to sway her hips like she's on a runway, like she's some 5'10" supermodel. This article got me because it's true. The Markle has lost its sparkle. It's absolutely true. America is sick of them. They whine, they bleat. We've all heard how Harry lost his virginity in the field, and that has spoiled for Americans the royal fairy tale. You know what I'm saying? People, if you're going to claim to be royal and above everybody and blah, 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 nobody cares about that kind of information. Those revelations have killed it for them. Like, seriously. All right, now it's coming out that Meghan is mortified. What she's basically doing, or what's been reported that she's doing, is that she is distancing herself from the memoir because she's trying to rebrand. So now she's saying that she just thinks it's horrible that Harry put out this information. I mean, little late for that, especially since he dedicated the book to her. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on. And as I told you in my previous video, they've now hooked up with this other person who's supposed to raise their star power. Well, word out is that he's only interested in Harry, not Meghan. Figures. All right, moving on. It's being suggested that because Harry and Meghan are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, that they could somehow influence what's going to happen in their case with Meghan Markle. Sorry, let me tell you right now, that is not going to happen. The judges in the United States are not like the judges in the UK. Your royal status here means absolutely zippo. And if you get caught lying to a judge here, I doubt he's going to call it an unfortunate lapse of judgment. I think he'll slap you with perjury charges. I think you've bitten off more than you can chew, and I think articles like this are really a joke. American judges are nothing like the judges in the UK. When it came out that Meghan doesn't want to hand over the messages from her and Oprah, the judge isn't going to take kindly to that. I'm telling you. All right, a couple small things. Harry and Meghan are apparently becoming a punchline for South Park. It's hilarious. The link to see it is up in the description box. You're going to want to click on that just to see the promo. That enough will be enough to make you laugh. And finally, I went out to lunch with one of my friends, and this was on my waiter's arm. I kid you not. And I took a picture of it. I said, "Ooh, you love the royals?" He goes, "Well, I am the king." I had to take the photo. Love it. Now, one more little thing before we go. You guys, again, have asked about merching cups with Finn's name or with the slogan. And as you can see, I did a poll. 1,400 people responded, and you can see the numbers. Financially, it just doesn't make sense to get the equipment, buy the cups, buy the t-shirts. And yes, I'm aware that YouTube has partner stores that would do it for me. But then who's going to pay $25 for a coffee cup, even with Finn's cute little nose on it? So for right now, I'm going to have to say there will be no merchandise. I'm sorry. All right, you guys know what I want. You know what to do. Keep those comments coming. Double check the subscribe button and make sure you have not been unsubscribed. It's still happening. Don't forget to go up into the description box where you'll find my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon. You'll also find the link to the South Park video that you're definitely going to want to look at. For those of you who've donated through my coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.